Yo, 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 thank you for joining us for another awesome indie comic interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with the Band of Bards and Dauntless stories. We have Marcus, Tim, Brent, and Chris joining us to chat about their new partnership. This is hot off the press. This just happened, guys. Thank you for joining us, hanging out, and breaking this down for us. How is everybody doing today?
Great.
Yeah, it's good.
Awesome. So I think first thing is first, let's start with introduction. So we'll begin this in kind of like a circle. We'll go with Marcus, Tim, Brent, then Chris. Give us a little bit about who you are and how you guys got involved with what you do.
Yeah, so I'll get started. So I'm Marcus Jimenez. I am the president and publisher of Dauntless Stories, and now officially the chief operating officer of Band of Bards, which is a huge milestone for me. I got started with Dauntless about 3 years ago, coming up next week, actually. It's our birthday. And when I started Dauntless, I set out to push the boundaries of the kind of comics we can make in the indie sphere. Like, if you look at our titles, Judas Complex or Eat My Flesh, Drink My Blood, it's really books that most publishers out there wouldn't have published. But I believe in my creators. I believe in the stories they want to tell. And I think Band of Bards has that similar ideals that I follow and values that I follow. So joining forces with them was an easy thing for me to do. And I'm very excited for the future. It looks bright. Toss it over to Tim.
I was waiting to get called on. No, I'm Tim Stolensky. I'm one of the founders of Band of Bards. Now I am focusing on just being like the chief financial officer and president of the publisher. I don't know. I'm usually more reserved, so this is a bit pushing my boundaries here. But no, it's super. Yeah, somebody's got to be the hype person, and it's definitely not me. This is thrilling. Like it's super exciting. We've always been about doing things more our own way, right? Like Chris and I are just a couple of old punks. We grew up together, and we've kind of kept that same mindset and approach to comics that we did, with the traditional punk and DIY scene. That's still what we do as a publisher, and it's pretty cool to be able to partner up with friends of ours. We all started off with this roughly around the same time, right? We just had our 3-year birthday at the beginning of March. So
that's cool.
It's nice that we were able to grow together, be friends in comics, and be able to take this jump together that is going to hopefully push the boundaries of comics.
Hey, Brent, what about you?
I'm Brent. My family just came in, so apologies in advance if you hear an 8-year-old boy start yelling my name. I am the Chief Diversity Officer as part of this venture, and I come in under the Dauntless organization. I am kind of the Chief of Editorial and Creative alongside Marcus. And I echo all of Marcus's sentimentality pertaining to helping people actualize their visions and their stories. My role in terms of the broader scope of things is I have an eye towards making sure if we're going to be having a conversation about the universality of storytelling and bringing in new and innovative voices, they need to reflect the broader community as it's evolving, not only as an encouraging sentimentality, but also as a reinforcement of the promise of doing that. So I want to make sure that our creators don't necessarily all look like us. I know that I'm non-binary, but I know also that I'm white and that I'm a middle-aged kind of looking individual. And I want to make sure that the board composition as well as our creator composition is diverse. And that's my primary goal, as well as hype. And also, moreover, I want to start encouraging people to know that their stories and their ideas are valuable beyond the kind of cold calculus that's present in current decision-making models with the industry as it stands. There's a lot of passionate people out there, and just from the skepticism that we're already seeing, that's why we're here to help answer some questions. Like, how is this going to help us? How is this really going to help? Well, that's part of the thing we're going to hopefully address here, as well as we go forward, is basically helping these stories and these voices get elevated. It's something that I personally have believed in from the jump, and and hopefully you can see it through. And I think as a parting thought to that, I think that creativity is limitless, and it's an inherently human invention, and we're living in a scenario right now where I think the human creator is being pulled in 8 different directions. They have to fight this insurmountable threat of artificially inspired content that's derived predominantly from theft, and on top of it, they're just trying to make ends meet. And I'm not saying this is the solution in its entirety, but I think Gail Simone put out a tweet yesterday saying, what are you going to do, sit and bitch or try to do something about it? And this is my humble attempt to try to do something that helps.
I love it. And if you're middle-aged, I think we're the same age, and that makes me middle-aged, and I think I'm going to go through like a midlife crisis right now.
Say elder millennial. That's what I want. Because I was born in 81. So elder millennial is kind of where I'm planting my flag.
So last but not least, Chris, what about you?
Oh, definitely the least. I don't know, Band of Bards history. Tim came to me, God, like 6 years ago, we started talking about this idea, right? Officially 3 years old in March. And I remember one of the first people that I talked to when, we made the announcement was Marcus. So, and I think that the most logical transition to this is all of us that are involved have this same idea, basically, and of what we want to do and what we want to accomplish with, this idea, the co-op idea as a whole, but also try to enact some community change, which was the most important thing, for me. And I think, Tim and I had big ambitions when we started, right? Lofty goals. And this is kind of the first step closer to what we want to accomplish and what we want Band of Bards to be, which really is something that if you want to have an opportunity to participate in the community, you could have that and you can become part of it, and it levels the playing field. Instead of everything being top down, it's even and fair and democratic.
I think you're absolutely right. I forgot to mention that democratic is the part. Saying top-down hierarchies is one thing, but saying everyone has an equal voice, as long by their own personal stake. Like once you, either whether if you become a worker owner or if you just come in as a creator, your voice is valued. You're not pitching your idea or giving your child to some labyrinthine machine that'll determine what it'll invariably look like and how it's sold.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we dive into anything too deep, let's go ahead and reflect on chat. So we have Chris Solis joining us saying exciting times. Brendan, EMFDMB, had to say that a little bit slower. It's such a great book. Joey saying the future is worker owned. And then we have Dan, MBLA, saying Gen Xers crumbled to dust. So give us a little bit, I guess, what does this co-op mean? I mean, the indie scene has been kind of a cluster, it seems like, with some publishers. We won't name names, but it seems like there's been a lot of just craziness happening. And then this was like such a flower just blossoming in the darkness, it felt like. So give us a little bit, I guess, what does this mean for a creator that is, getting involved with you guys?
I'm gonna let Tim and Chris start off on the Band of Bards side, and I'll jump in on the Dauntless side. If that's okay.
I think the biggest thing to mention about this is Tim and I started talking about the whole co-op idea about a year ago, right? So when we really thought about it, there was a lot of internal conversation of do the two of us really want to continue just to be the two dudes in charge of everything? And I don't think that was ever a plan from the beginning, right? So it was important for us to find like-minded individuals to kind of see the whole vision and expand that out and keep expanding it out. And Tim actually contacted an organization called Co-op Buffalo, which is local, who provided us a lot of insight, because really what our conversation was a year ago was, what is the structure of this company going forward? Like, right, we're an LLC. and we're a company and a business, but what is the structure? Is it top down, where there's going to be a CEO, COO, and the decisions are made that way? Or do we apply a structure where, it's an equal playing field for everybody? And I think the thing in comics is that it really, traditionally in publishing at all, is a very top down process where, someone starts a company, adds people under them that are like-minded, maybe, VC money, something like that. And that's how the company builds out. And instead, after months of conversations and seeing if it'll work, the decision, I think, ended up being easy.
Yeah, I'd say for folks who are curious about how this is going to be helpful for comics in general, or, looking to pitch a book to either Dauntless or Band of Bards and wondering, like, okay, if I do that, how is this going to function differently than other publishers? I'd always encourage folks to go to the United States Federation of Worker Cooperatives website, and you can read a whole lot of information there about, like, what exactly a cooperative is. A lot of times it get conflated with collective and cooperative, but they're very different things. And one of the biggest things with co-ops is that there's 7 different principles that you're supposed to adhere to, like voluntary and open membership, democratic member control. It's huge, right? When you see a lot of the issues in comics, it comes down to who's taking over control of everything, and who's calling all the decisions. Us. Obviously not every single decision within the company needs to be voted on and stuff, but that makes it a point to decide what level, at what point do you reach a level of seriousness that this needs to be brought to the entire ownership group to be voted on, rather than just having 1 or 2 people driving everything through. Other principles are things like member economic participation, autonomy, and independence. Cooperation among cooperatives and concern for your community. So, like, there's encouragements and really an expectation among other co-ops to kind of have, like, that mutual support for each other. And, when you're looking for some other kinds of, like, goods or services, you should be looking to support your fellow co-ops first. I think that general attitude is something that a lot of people have been wanting in comics more broadly. And that's what I would tell people to go and learn about and focus on if they want to understand why Band of Bards and Dauntless are taking this step together and why it's positive.
Marcus, this is Marcus. Would you take over? I think we need to speak more mechanically too. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's two layers to this. There's what we are and what somebody could ostensibly become, but there's also what we can offer to people right away who don't necessarily become worker owners with us.
Yeah, I'll start, and then Brent, feel free to jump in at any time. But if we're looking at this from the Dauntless perspective, right? Dauntless was formed by myself and with Brent in the background helping me for the last 3 years. But it's basically, and the same thing with Bands of Bards, we're all like middle-aged people who, not middle-aged, I meant middle-class people.
That crisis is coming sooner and sooner.
I know, I'm only 27. I can't say middle-aged.
Yeah, you're not middle-aged.
You're 27. Get out of here.
Yeah, I meant to say middle-class. But who, like, we all have day jobs, and our goal was to fund comics, not just for ourselves, because we're all creators in here, but also for other people, and give them an opportunity that might not come for a long time. And so when joining Bards, this was a way to open up the doors to even more people, to allow them to really have more control over the products that they're putting out, the books that they're creating. And ultimately, Dauntless fits in a kind of like a cool way where we've been saying we're the skybound to Image, right? Where Band of Bards is Image, and we're skybound. So we're still our own fully autonomous publisher. So we'll still take on books, and we prefer like a pre-order through our websites or crowdfunding campaigns rather than the direct market, where Band of Bards is a very direct market company. And the ultimate goal is to, did I freeze? I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
The ultimate goal is to open up avenues to grow together. Is I think the best way I can put it. I don't know, Brent, if you want to jump in.
Yeah, and also like for the worker owner thing, this is very brass tacks. This isn't representative entirely of what's going on, but like we basically put our sweat equity in. That's our way in, as well as our own little bit of money here and there, or just flesh and blood. To when we do put these books out, we will experience some aggregate share of the success, if there is success in whatever form it takes, either through leveraging it through direct markets using a Bard model, or do the crowdfunding model that inevitably goes to direct market maybe. But somebody who there's a lot of people who are asking, like, who are there's only like a handful of us. But what about, how does this help us? How does this help me get my book out there? Well, there's a few different ways of doing that. As we expand, the workers cooperative model is built in to allow more people in to be worker owners based upon a level of investiture. It's usually monetary. It's kind of like your investment in the whole, in the broader whole, as we put more things, and then you have a vote for various decisions, and then you would be able to benefit from the profits of that endeavor. That may, as we grow, that might be a model that we will get more into detail on. But in terms of what we can offer everybody right now, including our worker owners, as well as people who just want to work with us, Dauntless has relationships with print houses. Bards has relationships with print houses. In aggregate, we already have discounts. We bring your project in, that's more aggregate volume, which might incur even additional discounts with any of the, and I'll name names. Like, we've worked with Comic Impressions, we work with Express up in Michigan. There's also Mixum. I mean, there's a whole menagerie of concoctions and relationships we can leverage at any given moment, and we all have discounts of one level or another with different printing places. But it can even go beyond that. There's even mom and pop shops that have been broached to us in terms of offering discounts. But be that as it may, you're not a worker owner with us yet, but you still need help putting out the book, right? Well, we have assets and individuals at our disposal, like Joey, who is a PR mastermind, runs Kickstarters, or you just want the straight discounts. We can come to an arrangement where, as part of Bards helping push it out to the direct market, or us doing the crowdfunding with you, there's a portionality of revenue consideration, but we give you access to that Diamond thing through the Bard imprint label. Like, you would have access to Diamond, or you would be able to get that discount at the printer. You don't have to be a worker owner to benefit from these resources and wisdoms that we would bring to bear. Now, there's nuance and there's situational parameters that probably come into play depending upon the book, depending upon the idea. You still have to conceivably pitch it. There's still a discussion. We're still publishers, whether or not we feel it's a conceivable idea that would fit either our mandate, our mission, or the tonality of what we like to champion. But at the end of the day, those are things that we can do right now for you. Those are benefits, and no one's losing out by this happening. Like, this is an aggregate benefit that we can offer to people who want to make a book, and there's no strings attached other than just pure dollars and cents based upon what we can get out of it a little bit to keep the lights on, and also what you can get out of it to get a discount. That is a direct benefit of people coming together.
Yeah, I think it's a strong, sorry, Marcus.
No, it's okay.
A strong misconception of the whole thing is that, I think we started this, lost my train of thought, with pretty much nothing, right, from the ground up, zero, and the investment has always been in the creative project or the creator, or the people that are making those books, before us or even the company, right? We're not going to make a decision to change the format of how we do things if it's going to impact the mission where Band of Bards started, right? So the idea is to keep pushing forward and to keep enacting good change, and healthy change is what this industry needs.
I love that. Let's go ahead and reflect on the comments real quick. So Brendan was just asking if this was going to be a full merger or two imprints that retain a separate identity. And shout out to Joey in the YouTube chat, just championing it over there, answering all the questions. So he had that covered. We had Jared stop in saying, "I'll name names. Motherfuckers owe me some money." That's kind of what spurred me talking about kind of just the poo storm that's been happening with some publishers. So why is this the first time that's ever happened? Why do you think other publishers haven't tried this before?
So I can jump in if you guys are okay with it. I think a lot of publishers aim for like the collective route, like that Tim spoke about earlier, where there is some similarities, But at the end of the day, when you're forming a collective, it's very much about that core group. Like sometimes it may grow, but at the end of the day, it's that core group deciding together to build upwards, right? The co-op is, it gives more stake into the individual, right? A co-op can grow. Each person that comes in that gets voted in grows, and we also have seat members on our board of directors that are not worker owners, but they're a part of the larger community. And like, for example, we have Anne, who's coming in as our community relations kind of board member. We have Melissa from Don't Hide PR as our press, from our press side of everything. And then we have Crazy Comics from Ohio. That's Brent's local shop.
Yeah, it's my shop owner.
Who's coming in from the retailer side to tell us what's a retailer's perspective of the books that we're making. So the idea is we're trying to do something where we're touching all aspects of the comic book process, whether you're a fan, whether you're an influencer, whether you're a shop, right? And I think a lot of companies don't do this because they want to generate enough capital on their own, and they don't think that this model can do that. But we're here to say it's profitable, it makes everyone's lives better, and we get to tell more stories.
I don't want to make anyone else that's tried to do something like this seem any less authentic, but
yeah, I agree.
Just as a joke, no, that's not what I'm inferring, but just as a joke, like I was talking with Tim and Chris, and we compared notes, and we realized that we're all a bunch of Polish people from the Midwest. We're all great, except for yeah, it's true. I know. I was assuming these two, but yeah, thank you for breaking the trend a little bit. But I just say we're all a bunch of Rust Belt, middle class folks, and that's the roots of it. And we're not trying to I don't think anyone would cry crocodile tears if one of our ideas ever got picked up by somebody who wants to have a different medium employ the story. But that's not what we're here for. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also what's been driving a lot of the collapses that we've seen is a multi-spectrum approach to finding a way of making money on a creative endeavor. And I won't say that's not what we're doing. And I said this during one of the early foundational moments of our getting together. I have a day job just like anybody else, trying to do something on the side. Would I like this to be the thing one day? Sure, but my day job is marketing for a credit union, and I've been doing it for 17 years. And a credit union, by definition, is banking owned by the people who bank there. We have the board of directors are volunteer. It could be anybody that banks at the credit union. And I really find a cognate to that in this, and that we are really trying to first and foremost keep the lights on, pay the bills, help people tell stories. And if that leads invariably to growth because of that positive outlook, we're still a business. But for the first time, I feel that we're a business started by a bunch of random, knuckleheads that just like comic books. And I'm not saying it's a novel, and I'm not saying it's new, but I think the tonality of what we're trying to do has a veneer of newness to it. And I think we're trying to do it with some genuine heart and authenticity.
Yeah, just to tag in really quickly, it's not like we're not going to shy away from any potential adaptation money that comes in, or fight for our creators to get those kind of opportunities, because we will. We send out pitches, we send out solicitations on behalf of our creators. But at the end of the day, we're here to make comics first. And I think a lot of other collectives, publishers, imprints, they want to do everything. And I think that's what, like Brent says, contributes to the downfall. A lot of them is spreading themselves into those other areas, but forgetting that they're here to make comics. Even if comics might not be the most profitable thing, you can still do that kind of thing. And that's our goal.
I love that. Real quick, we have a comedian, WW. I love this, an actual worker co-op comic publisher. Amazing. Jared, surprised that Marcus is only 27. You have Kara over on Twitter saying, sounds amazing. And CJ Hudson saying, I want to know their salaries.
$0. $0.
You guys are making money? Real quick, let's give another shout out to some campaigns that are currently live, guys. We have Coins of Judas, 7 days left to go. Be sure to check it out. Like I said earlier, if you can back, we would love to see it, but simply putting this wherever you can. Word of mouth is 100% free. And then When I Was Young only has 25 hours left to go as well. So let's go ahead and put that in chat. All proceeds are going to the Trevor Project, which is amazing, awesome cause. So real quick, what does this mean for Band of Bards and Dauntless Stories going forward? Like, is this changing you guys as a separate entity? Is this like impacting anything that you do, or how's that looking for you guys in the future?
I'm really excited to answer this question because I think people what are you laughing at? I don't understand.
Oh, you came out of the gate with fire. I love it. Come on, go for it, dude.
What does it mean? We're still very much separate entities. So I mean, like, as far as like comics go, like, you can pitch to us or you could pitch to Dauntless if it fits into either of our scheme. If you pitch to us and we think it fits better with Dauntless, we'll refer it over to there. I'm sure it will work vice versa. But it's going to be a collaboration and a cooperative. I mean, especially having Marcus and Brent basically in C-level positions with Band of Bards. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be community, like the community that we, work in and we live in, right? There's a lot of negativity too, and let's try to cut that and do something positive and lift people up and continue the mission, right? That's what I see. I don't see much changing outside of it being more awesome.
The biggest change is that there's more hands at the table, right?
Absolutely.
It's insane to try to do all of these things with only a couple of people. Like, there's a very short timeline for how long that can last. So, we've had Joe and we've had Megan helping at Band of Bards, but at the end of the day, there was me and Chris driving it all. Now we have 6 people involved at an equal playing field. So for folks wanting to know, well, what's going to be the impact if I take my book to you guys? We've got so many more people at the table and so many more resources to help, advertise and market a book, help develop it. The biggest thing I would say is that really there's so much information about cooperatives, and there's so many misconceptions about what exactly a publisher should be doing for somebody. I'm always beating the drum of everybody that's involved in publishing in whatever respect should go read A People's Guide to Publishing from Microcosm Press publishers. Like, you will get a much better idea of what you should be expecting out of a publisher going into something, and that just helps having those conversations a little bit more fluidly. But immediate impacts really are, like, we've got so many more folks now helping out and driving the mission forward. There's nothing but good things coming out of this.
Absolutely. Just to tag in, right? The other aspect of it, of us joining forces, is we get to bring our different styles of working, management, and creativity to this project. So, like, on the Dauntless side of things, oftentimes we take a project in from the ground up. So we'll come in with a writer, maybe they have an artist attached, and we'll work with them to develop the story from the ground up and really make it into their book. And which is why that we on our end, we're not publishing a ton of books per year, right? Like, I came into it when I was starting the company as like, I want to be like a traditional book pub or a movie studio where it's like maybe we have 3 to 4 movies a year, but we're focusing on that. So now that we have Tim, Chris, Megan, Joey, all these other people that can look in on our project, give their takes on from a PR side, like, is there any potential bombs that are gonna drop later, you know what I mean? Or from a marketing side, it was like, hey, maybe this cover trade dressing doesn't work too well, let's change it up, let's build it up. And that's already started happening behind the scenes before we made this announcement. It's been very cool to see us come together, be able to provide more resources to the individual creator.
I love that. I love that so much. For anyone in chat, if you guys have any questions at all, feel free to ask away. I think we pretty much have covered everything, though. This has been such an awesome sit down. Real quick, though, it looks like there's a whole slew of like titles that are going to be dropping, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So I'll jump in from the Dauntless side. I know Band of Bards has a big schedule on their side. So to kick it off, Dauntless is launching the Deadly Verse, which is I ran a campaign and published a book called Deadly Living. it had drawn by Gavin Guidry, who's doing Superman 78 right now. Addison Duke, who does colors on Barbaric. Taylor Esposito, who's done like anything from Red Hood and onwards. And then and that created this magical universe of like superhero fantasy, all that kind of stuff. And it was very fun book that's on the website and on Global Comics. And we decided to expand it out. So we're launching Night from Hell, which is kind of like Ghost Rider meets Wonder Woman set in our world. We're launching Unbroken with Brett and Rachel Disler, which is our first foray into young adult storytelling, which will be going to Kickstarter later this year. We have Pawn, which is my book with Anas and the whole crew, which is our take on like, you know, the Western, a fantasy Western. And then most excitedly, right, we have a ton of other books like We Belong to the Thunder, which is Brent and I's neon-soaked cyberpunk Romeo and Juliet story. It's like, what if Romeo and Juliet were John Wick? If that makes anyone hyped about it.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And then the Valorverse is probably biggest ticket right now. And you know, Kara is an amazing creator, right? She put out Sparrow with the help of Jared Lujan, and that book is great. And we just can see the glimmer of hope in that book and that universe. So we're going to be kicking it off with the Valorverse special #1 to really introduce you guys to that world.
We actually have Kara in chat right now saying I might be biased, but these books are going to be amazing.
I'm telling you right now, Kara's world. I mean, again, I don't want to like to get into the age thing again, but I remember Milestone when I was a teenager, and the relaunch. It's always so often that superheroes have the opportunity to do something innovative. You know, and when they do, it blows the doors off. People can play down their excitement about the reinvention of what it means to be a character, an avatar of righteousness in a popular setting. But you see Spawn and you see others, and there's these bellwether moments when you know, opportunity and creativity afford a window into something novel. And this is it. Just the character. Every single character has a personality. Every single character has a story, and they're all interwoven into this broader lore that is exceedingly difficult to thread. And Kara has that kind of mind. And I think with us helping with some editorial assets and just bringing everything we can to bear as a team, I mean, you saw the reaction on Twitter.
Yeah.
People want this, and I just think we're actually reorganizing a little bit of our timelines, I think, to kind of give this greater credence, because there's a spark there, and so we're excited.
And Brent said it best. Not to take up too much time. I'm sorry, guys. But Kara's verse very much mimics our own Deadly verse in the way of the stories we want to tell and how broad of a spectrum it is. There's going to be stories for any kind of reader. You like the kind of Spawn kind of storytelling, or you like Batman, or you like Superman, there's going to be a book for you in this partnership. So we're very excited.
It. Speaking of books for you, Band of Bards, what about you guys? What do you have on the slate?
I got the schedule. Chris is sitting over in my dining room, so I got the publishing schedule on my monitor here. So we got Vidya relaunched, and that was something where we felt that the audience needed to be developed a little bit more, and we're excited to be relaunching that mostly in our like oversized and double issue format. 3 brand new covers. It's gorgeous. Last Goodbye, Ben Huminick and Travis B. Hill. Sorry, Travis. Those are great. Ignis Quadrant. Super stoked to have Evan Carruthers' book, Ignis Quadrant. Cool. Yeah. Very cool book. Also with Ben Huminick, Bro D Can't Be Broken is coming back. We just first put it out in like the big, giant magazine size format. It's coming back into like a standard comic size format now. More Hush Ronin coming out. Some more Coins of Judas coming out. So pretty freaking exciting. I know that, and not that I'm an excitable person. And I think, but really, like probably like the last thing I want to say about all of this is that if you took like the meta look at what it means to start pushing cooperative business models and democratic workplaces, right? Those are things that address a lot of the inequalities that we all see in the U.S. economy. And getting into my big brain B school crap, but traditionally, so legally, a business is established to enrich the owners. Like, that's not any kind of nasty capitalism thing. That's just legally what a fucking business is for. Sorry if I'm not supposed to swear.
I mean, it's capitalism.
Right. Yeah, everybody's got their terrible hot takes. I'm sorry, but go take an economics class. And I'm going to get the curmudgeon out, right? But so that's what the business exists for. And that's why so many publishers are in that more traditional model of wanting to suck all the money up to the tops. And they have, their investors coming in. You get to like publicly traded companies that also have a publishing arm. And I'm not going to, not to name drop anything, but like those are all things that really change how a publisher acts and how it executes its operations. So if you are trying to pick apart what a lot of the problems in comics come from, a lot of it is that, right? And this model of a cooperative business, it addresses, it gets to the heart of creators not having much of a say in what's going on with their work. Everybody involved in Band of Bards and Dauntless at this point, you've got much more level playing field. It's a very equitable business model. Like, that's a primary reason why people do this. And generally you see co-ops in like the sense of farmers, stores or grocery stores, food service industry is where you see it the most. But it's a business model that I think the strengths of it really come in and address a lot of the complaints people have about working in comics. So hopefully folks want to reach out and ask some more questions, or, I would say, just go and Google what the hell is a worker-owned cooperative and do some reading.
And just to circle back to your original question, why now? This was by pure happenstance that the collapse of other publishers have transpired. Well, we were planning to do this anyway. But the reason why is it now? Well, it's the age-old thing, right? Because we wanted to try. Mm-hmm. And by pure chance, we just happened to make a splash about it. Anybody can do this. Anybody can do anything they want to do if they try hard enough, and if they fail, they can try something else and keep going. I mean, we're not gonna presume that we have the answers or that we're gonna be some big bombastic success, but we'll be damned if we don't, throw our weight behind what we genuinely believe in, to see what happens.
I feel like I could listen to you read descriptions off like cereal boxes for like 2 hours straight.
Listen, Brent did our first overdub when we did a Kickstarter for Final Gamble, 2 years ago. That's Brent's beautiful voice. So
we have Brendan Albetsky saying this is all really exciting to hear. As an artist, I look forward to sending you all of the pitches. Looks like you guys are going to be getting a slew. Speaking of that, let's begin wrapping things up. And I know this is all of your first times on the show, so I usually ask a piece of advice and then what you're consuming outside of, creating. So I guess, low-hanging fruit, but for anyone looking to pitch to a publisher, what would you say the single biggest piece of advice you could offer them?
I'll go first. Be prepared is the best thing, right? You don't have to know all the facts about your story, because they will change. As you're making it, they will change, right? But know the characters you want to tell, know the reason you want to tell the story, and why you should be the person to tell this story. Is the biggest advice I can give. And
I'm gonna go next though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you done? I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to steal thunder. It's okay.
Stop throwing stuff at me. Understand what a publisher does for you, and if that's the route that you want to take. I think that there is a general large misconception that if you get a publishing deal, it's just you're going to blow up, right? It takes a lot of work and a lot of time. We've got projects that are still waiting in the wings for the right time to come out. or are still building up a fan base in a different way. And I think it's fair to say that the right way to go about it, understanding how that part of the industry works and if it fits for you, because some people will argue in a Discord channel that the right way to do it is to just go to Kickstarter and do it yourself, which maybe that is the right direction for you. I think the big thing that we're trying to do here is offer a community and support for that, because not everybody wants to do marketing. Not everybody wants to write write a 5-line synopsis for a direct market submission to be in previews, right? Not everybody wants to create graphics, and not everyone wants to post to social media and do all that stuff. And that's what we started this planning to do, and that's what we're continuing to do, is to lift up those creators that work with us. And that's before you come to us and submit something, you'll understand kind of how that works, if that makes sense.
Couldn't have said it better.
All right, Brent or Tim.
I won't speak to the logistics of it because it's already been said, other than it's all about the idea. And I'll just read off a tweet I put out about I think yesterday, and I think it kind of summarizes my thoughts more philosophically, which is I want to make one thing absolutely clear, that if that idea you had, it's worth it. That story that you think isn't worth the time is. And I can't promise you who will see it or why or where, but I can promise you this: it's an extension of who you are, and it's your voice trying to make sense of the world. And it's just as worthy of taking shape and being known as anyone else's. So whenever you're ready, write, submit, actualize your dream. And if everyone tells you no, do it anyway. Find a way, even if it's just putting it down on paper and telling it to a friend, or going back to the drawing board until someone finally says, we want to run with this. Because if you believe in it enough and you're passionate enough about it, you'd be surprised how much that passion can take you. That's all I can really say. And I just want to make sure that there's an apparatus in place that can enable you to get it where you need to go. You shouldn't be impeded from getting your story in front of people because of logistics or commerce. If it's a good story that helps people understand themselves better, or yourself, then it should be out there, because storytelling belongs to all of us.
We have Travis Gibbs saying, watching Brent and Cody care for their animals is inspiring. You don't understand. If I don't pet Bella, she's going to yank these headphones out of my ears. So I have to, I'm devoted to anytime she wants to hop up, I have to give her some loving.
I would have my cats here, but then you would have 6 cats trying to make this straight, and you don't want that.
My other cat's way too chunky to jump up, so I got to get him like a little step stool or something.
Definitely.
Everyone loves Steve. Steve's the best Steve that ever Steved. He's just a good Steve.
So Tim, last but not least, what would be your piece of advice?
The most obvious thing, read the publisher submission guidelines. That's the easiest way that we, delete submissions, is when they don't follow the guidelines. If somebody can't be bothered to read directions, I'm probably going to have a hard time working with them. But shameless plug, right? Go get this damn book and read it. It tells you exactly what a publisher is supposed to do. So, if you're confused about whether or not, because you hear this feedback from creators, right? I don't know if I'm being given a load of bullcrap, or if what this publisher is telling me is legit, or if they really are doing something for me. This book will give you that baseline of knowledge that you need to have a bullshit detector. And there's cool stuff like sample contracts in here.
Yeah,
all sorts of
huge.
Yeah. You have to read that book if you want to be involved in publishing in any aspect.
I love it. Thank you all for coming by, hanging out, breaking this down, giving us all the details about what to expect. Before we wrap up completely, though, what are you all consuming outside of creating? I mean, comics, video games, TV shows, let us know what you've been up to.
I am an Audible kind of guy. So I listen to audiobooks constantly. Right now I'm listening to, what's it called? I think it's called 3 Assassins. It's by the writer of Bullet Train. Very fun, very good. Highly recommend that. And also His Majesty's Dragon. It's like an alt history British war story set during the Napoleonic Wars, but with dragons. So if you like that kind of thing, definitely recommend.
No, that sounds really cool.
I just finished watching the last episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation the other day, so I'm starting up Picard. But in terms of reading, wrapping up a book about the West Point rugby team from the class of 2002, and lots of therapy books.
There you
Jim,
Chris,
you
Brent?
go. Chris, you go.
I thought I was last. That's okay. Oh man, I've been consuming a lot of TV lately. Some of it's garbage, but
That's
you know,
okay.
a lot of TV. I got a unhealthy obsession with Netflix reality shows like Love is Blind.
Oh,
Wow,
It's
dude.
horrible, but like I can't
It's
look
okay.
away from the train wreck because like it just like this last season, absolutely phenomenal. X-Men 97 has been sweet. The first 3 episodes is really cool, and I feel like a child again, you know, because used to wake up in the 90s, and you know I was Gambit growing
Mhm.
up on the playground, right? My neighbor was Wolverine. Like we had like, you know, that's how we grew up playing and trying to be freaking mutants, which was awesome. And I'm stoked for all that stuff. I'm reading a lot, trying to, because I'm generally the stupid one in the group. So, you know, just trying to build my brain up stronger. And I don't know, lots of art books and tutorials. Like I'd sit at my desk all day and just watch InDesign because I got to get better at that now. So I have competition clearly.
We have Joey saying, I'm watching the TLC smut show, so I'm right there with you, Chris. You know, I
Yeah.
was really big into, what was it, like Hell's Kitchen or the
yeah,
bar
me
one?
too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that stuff just, I don't know what it is, but like you said, it's like it's a train wreck, so you can't stop watching.
Can't
You're
stop
like,
watching the train wreck. Like, you know, Love is Blind is a particularly interesting one because it's just like, I can't remember. Like this last season was absolutely wild. It blew my mind. I'm like, you people are all terrible humans. Like what? At least your lives are worse than mine.
Circling back, just I forgot to mention comics.
Yeah.
Anything Massiveverse, automatically reading that because I love Kyle Higgins and that whole universe. I buy the entire DC line, so don't judge me there. And I absolutely loving Ultimate Spider-Man. Manga, I'm reading My Hero every week. I'm reading Chainsaw Man, which I don't get, but like, you know,
I
loving
love
it.
Chainsaw Man so
So
much.
And an indie book, I'm just going to give a shout out. There's a creator named D.D. Mark. He makes a book called Ruthless Render. You can read the whole thing for free. And Dark Horse is actually publishing the first volume in September. And it's a mixture between Chainsaw Man and JJK, and a bunch of other cool stuff. If you want to use mainstream stuff,
Mhm.
so highly recommend it. Whole thing's for free online, so you should definitely check it out.
I told my
That is
10-year-old
awesome.
the other day that she's too young for Chainsaw Man.
Absolutely.
You know, I forgot. I went to this mall, and I think it was like in a Hot Topic or something. I took my kids in there just to kind of like look around, and my son, he's like 7, and he's like, Chainsaw Man. I'm like, how do you know about Chainsaw Man?
Yeah.
Like
That's
I'm
why I asked
concerned.
my daughter Addison is 10, and she's like, Dad, can I get these Chainsaw Man mangas? Look at this Chainsaw Man hoodie. It's so cool. I'm like, how do you even know about that? And I feel like that's totally inappropriate for somebody your age.
So, Brent, last but not least, what are you consuming?
I'm watching like an X-Men cartoon 97, and also I watch a lot of there's a YouTube channel called Watcher, and I'm a Shaniac for anybody who has been, but I love Ryan too. But I love their ghost hunting show. Right now, I think I'm watching their Mystery Files, which is phenomenal. I just got done reading Death's End, which is
so good.
book 3 and 3. But I'm gonna piss a lot of people off, but saying I philosophically and narratively disagree with every single thing that author did with the conclusion of the 3-body problem universe. But I appreciate the perspective. I do think there was a weird quality shift somewhere in the middle on book 2 that kind of recouped itself in book 3. But I categorically have issues with elements of how that story concluded. I won't give any spoilers away. And then in terms of comics, I really want to put a shout out for this because I feel like it just sort of faded away. I'm a huge fan of Mike Perkins. It's like one of the first, considering I'm a huge Marvel head and everything, the first, I should have it right here, the first page I ever bought was from Lewis Lane, number 6. I love Mike Perkins everything, and he's doing a thing with Jurgens called Batman First Night. It's an oversize from their Black label, and yeah, I mean, good God, if you don't have it yet, and if you're even remotely a Batman fan, hell, if you're a noir fan, like it's set in like the sort of 1920s 30s Gotham, and I won't give anything away, but like good, I mean, okay. And then I'm also reading Dawn Runner, which is, by the way, a love letter to Neon Genesis Evangelion. I don't know how Rom does it, like just because it's so whimsical, the Rom's approach to writing something, and yet it's so eminently readable compared to some things I try to read and I just can't quite get into. Like I was sucked in like that. And it just blows me from Layla Stardust, and it's Whiplash too in terms of just like narrative, completely different narrative setting, presumption and everything.
If you want to talk Rom, right, every book he has on the shelf right now is phenomenal. Like if you're not reading Detective 10 out of 10, right? If you like murder mysteries, One Hand, and I think the other one's called Six Fingers, they're like, it's a murder mystery told from opposite perspectives. Like one of the books is written by him, the other one written by I want to say Dan Waters, but I might be wrong. But it is told by the victim and the killer, opposite comics. So very, very much recommend.
I just, yeah, it's amazing because there are a few writers that can do that, but like even Tinian kind of, in my opinion, stays in his lane a little bit. While he's doing this multi-spectrum approach to different universes, like I call it like the Tinian universe, the Mad Onion universe, I guess. But
yeah,
but like Rom's just all over the place, and it's every single one is pitch perfect to the pitch of the song. Man's Best, which I still don't quite know where it's going yet, but I love the way it's drawn.
Jesse Longren is fantastic.
Yes. What else? I mean, I'm still following the fall of that. This is the end of the X-Men arc, so I'm enthralled with what's going on. I hope they stick the landing. The resurrection of Magneto was phenomenal. And I guess if I was like, kind of like to finish on a strong note for comics, I'm actually getting my notes out because I want to make sure I got it right. Yeah, Helen of Windhorn.
With, yes, the king and
Evely, I think, or Focus. Yeah, I just, good God, like from the jump. First off, she may be the best artist
ever
in comics right now. I say that knowing that's a very bold statement, but coming off of Supergirl and like just like I don't know, man. It's just so captivating. Just everything, the way, and those two have a synergy that that's just pure magic when a writer and an artist just click. And I don't want to be begrudging to any of the other elements of the team too. Like I'm sure it takes a village to make a book, but just speaking holistically, it's just wow. But yeah, that's kind of what's got me going right now.
All right, real quick, let's go ahead and do one last drop for Coins of Judas on Kickstarter, guys. Be sure to check them out. And then we also have another project we're going to be dropping in chat. When I Was Young has 25 hours left to go. All proceeds go to the Trevor Project. So be sure to check that out. And like I said, if you can't back, put this on Facebook, Twitter, wherever you can. Word of mouth is 100% free. Shout out to Band of Bards. Shout out to Dauntless Stories for coming by, breaking down this partnership. Marcus, Tim, Chris, and Brent, this was such an awesome sit down. Thank you all. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And everybody in chat, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Most importantly, though, keep it geekly.